News, I'm April Cummings.
The sooner we reach our vaccination target, the sooner we'll be on our road to economic recovery from this pandemic.
Premier the Honourable Wayne Panton announced today vaccination against COVID-19 will become mandatory for work permit holders in the Cayman Islands as he unveiled the country's phased reopening plan.
Government will require proof of vaccination for both renewal and new work permits as a part of our phased reopening process. Please impress upon your existing employees on work permits that if they refuse to get vaccinated, they may no longer be able to work in the Cayman Islands. It is a critical public health issue.
At the Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce legislative luncheon, with a sold-out crowd looking on, the Premier provided high-level details of the six-phase plan, which targets early August for reduced repatriation restrictions and limited introduction of tourism as early September.
This reopening plan I'm presenting to you first today is our country's best-case scenario. Our goal is to locally manage the risk of transmission and prevent individuals from becoming seriously ill by maximizing vaccination rates and continued surveillance testing through each phase.
The Premier stressed the reopening relies on reaching the 80% vaccination target, as well as implementing a method of verifying vaccines from other jurisdictions. The plan includes a number of stages, which are outlined at exploregov.ky in detail, along with a copy of the Premier's speech.
The key aspect of our phased reopening plan is the safety of our population. We want to avoid people becoming seriously ill, or even worse, dying. As a country, we have done everything possible to avoid this so far, and we must continue in this effort.
At all phases, public health will monitor the local prevalence rate and the spread of COVID with reduced restrictions. The trigger for introduction of public health intervention in all phases will be 2 non-related community clusters requiring hospital admission. In January, the situation will be reassessed, and then decisions made about how and when the borders will fully reopen, which includes the potential for reintroduction of cruise tourism. No new positives today for COVID-19 from the 298 tests carried out since our last report on Wednesday. Currently, 94,277 COVID-19 vaccinations have been given in total in the islands. 69% of the estimated population has received at least one dose, with 64% having completed the 2-dose course. The Health Services Authority extends the hours of COVID-19 testing at the Cayman Islands Hospital from Monday to Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 11 a.m., and Sundays, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. prior to Tuesday flights only. The online appointment booking calendar is available for the public to schedule their free COVID-19 tests, with results delivered by secure email within 24 hours directly to the patient. Appointments must be made 2 business days in advance, as all people being tested must be pre-registered. That means no walk-ins are allowed. In other local news, police say they followed a number of positive lines of inquiry to solve Cayman's first homicide that claimed the life of 36-year-old Marc Andre Ebanks of Georgetown on July 1st. RadioCayman's Shanda Gallego has more with the Deputy Commissioner of Police.
We've made one arrest this week. We've recovered at least 2 vehicles of interest thus far.
Deputy Commissioner of Police Kurt Walton says a major incident room has been set up with at least 12 detectives full-time and fully focused on the July 1st shooting incident in which 1 person was shot and killed and 3 others being treated for gunshot injuries. On July 6th, a 31-year-old Georgetown man was arrested on suspicion of murder in relation to the incident. He remains in custody. One of the victims remains in hospital in stable condition. Following a number of positive lines of inquiries, Mr. Walton says they're able to collect sufficient facts to submit a file to the Office of Director of Public Prosecutions.
We are working around the clock all weekend since really day one, since this happened, throughout the long weekend, and that continues. We did a number of house-to-house inquiries within the Martin Drive, Miss Francis Road, that whole entire area there behind Funkatangs off of Shedden Road, house-to-house inquiries.
As far as the investigation goes, Mr. Walton says they're continuing to meet with the community to give assurance. While detectives heavily rely on forensic evidence, they need witnesses.
Really, without cooperation from the community, without cooperation from witnesses, it makes our job that much more difficult, much more challenging. So as we always do, we appeal to witnesses. We do have a direct information line into our major incident room, which is 649-2930.
If you have any information, you're encouraged to contact the Major Incident Crime Unit. Police are urging those with any videos or pictures of the incident not to share them, but to submit them anonymously via the RCIPS Media app. Shanda Gallego, Radio Cayman News.
Also in police news, 5 weeks into Operation Quaker, 6 arrests for driving under the influence, just under 60 tickets issued, and 10 collisions investigated. Acting Superintendent Brad Ebanks, who is in charge of Uniform and Special Operations currently, says Operation Quaker got underway on May 28th in response to what he described as a noticeable increase in serious and fatal motor vehicle collisions on the roadways. The operation's been supported by a number of different agencies, with a focus on holding road users accountable when they're caught speeding or driving under the influence.
Since May 28th, we have arrested over 50 persons for driving under the influence, ticketed 184 persons for speeding, and from January to date, we have prosecuted 2,228 persons.
In order to make Operation Quaker a success, Mr. Ebanks says more officers were brought on board to maximize police presence on the roads during key times of high activity.
Our main persons that targeted right now are drunk driving and speeding. Those are two most critical areas that cause problems on our roads, and that's where we focus our attention. So for the driving public, just beware. We're out there. We're looking for persons who are committing those two particular offenses, but of course, other offenses.
While Operation Quaker will not be continuing in its current form, officers are now moving to a more targeted and long-term safety policing strategy, utilizing what they've learned from the operation. After 31 years as a civil servant, Ministry of Planning, Agriculture, Housing and Infrastructure Chief Officer Alan Jones retires this month. Radio Cayman's Dion Anglin has more.
Former Director of Lands and Survey, Mr. Jones, was appointed Chief Officer in February 2012 and is the most senior civil servant in the ministry. During his tenure as Director of Lands and Survey, he was instrumental in developing the Geographical Information System, GIS, a computer system that integrates spatial data with its associated tabular records. As Chief Officer, he oversaw the streamlining of the trade and business licensing applications and the establishment of the Cayman Islands Business Development Center. One of the many programs that was established during his tenure as Chief Officer was the PWD Apprenticeship Scheme, which provides technical and vocational training for young Caymanians. He was also responsible for the establishment of the Major Projects Office. Reporting for Radio Cayman News, I'm Dion Anglin.
That is your latest local news from Radio Cayman's newsroom. I'm April Cummings.